Hi, I'm Cassandra. I'm an urban farmer here in Prince George, and today I just wanted to talk a little bit about poly-low tunnels, essentially a small cold frame which can be used to overwinter vegetables, even in climates such as ours in Zone 3, Prince George, BC. And I wanted to walk you through how to bend the conduit, build the ridge pole, and then all the materials that we'll need to assemble this. Okay, so what I'm using here is 10-foot lengths of half-inch EMT conduit, and this is my handy-dandy DIY pipe bender here. And if you have a pipe bender, it's a little easier, but this is what I have, and I'll just show my concept. So I like mine to be a little flatter in the middle, so they breach a little bit of a wider gap. And we just want to do this slow and gently. We don't want to bend, we don't want to kink the pipe. Okay. Flip. This side. And we want to keep it nice and level with the ground to make sure it's not twisted. Okay. All right. I think that's about where I like it. Doesn't matter if it's pretty, as long as it stands. A tunnel, we could say is about like $25, $30. Yeah. Okay, so I can see right here now that we are trying to get it into a place that it's a little bit too wide. So what I like to do is I just kind of gently, very gently bend it towards myself while my foot's supporting and acting like the pipe bender. Nice and straight. Okay, other side. And this is good to know how to do because I'm not necessarily always at my house when I'm doing this. And I don't want to carry the pipe bender everywhere I go. There we go. Now it's perfect. Okay. Now, in theory, it should shove right into the ground. If you're having difficulty shoving it into the ground, you want to water and just put the sprinkler on for 20-30 minutes and wait, and then the ground will soften and you'll be able to push them in much better. Just kind of use your brunt force. Okay, that should be good. Okay, now to actually bear the snow load in the wintertime, what I'll do is I'll switch out this is just baling twine for the lodge pole as acting as support. I'll switch out to an actual ratchet strap and use some ratchet straps to strap to rebar pegs in the ground. So I'll put the rebar peg in the ground at an angle. Okay, and then you would just go ahead and fashion it. Whoops. Sometimes you need to tie. There we go. And just like that. And so we'll just go ahead and assemble it back how I had it for now. Want to try to keep, if you're doing the baling twine, try to keep these as straight as possible. I know I have not here, but we do our best. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Now I have these handy dandy clamps here that we'll use to clamp down the plastic. So you could use like 6 mil vapor barrier for something like this. That's totally fine. You don't need any fancy UV resistant plastic. Okay. And I'll just show, it's pretty easy to assemble with one person. And during the winter, I'd probably add 3 or 4 of those sandbags on each side, just to hold it taut. And we like to have the pipes at about 2 foot intervals to allow enough support to actually bear the snow load. And yeah, 2 feet, 2.5 feet. That's about what we need here for our snow load. Some things to think about is that you don't want to install it in a place where it might accidentally get walked on. It's going to get buried by snow, and then you're not going to be able to see it. So if animals or kids or the mailman is going to come across and walk on it, it will collapse under those conditions. But when the snow falls on it, it kind of gives like an igloo effect, and it sort of supports itself. So it acts really well. And this is really functional for overwintering. Overwintering carrots, anything that you're overwintering here that can overwinter, you're going to want to have it planted at least 6 weeks back from your first frost date. So count that. There's carrots in here, and they were planted around middle of July. So these will be my winter carrots for the middle of winter. We'll harvest them in some nice warm days in the winter. We'll come dig them up. Yeah, you can absolutely use them for season extension. You'll probably get somewhere in the nature, it's more of a cold frame than a greenhouse idea, so you're getting in the nature probably like 2 extra weeks of growth. For extension, you're probably getting at the end of the season close to a month, depending on what you're trying to grow. If you're talking lettuces, I've had lettuces in these things well into December, like actively harvesting the lettuce, and it's still growing. As soon as those daylight hours dip down quite low, that's when you're going to have all of the actual growth and production stop, but a lot of things won't actually die through the winter. So onions, carrots, kale, spinach, things like that. Awesome for these. Mm-hmm. So winter sowing is an important thing. When we're talking about cold frames, if you wanted to do some early season crops, a good thing to do would be before it freezes, and when we're not going to have any more grow days left, you go ahead and plant a full bed of whatever you want that's frost hardy, say spinach, and you go ahead and put the tunnel over that. And in the springtime, when the days are long enough and when it's favorable conditions for the crop, they'll just start growing, and you'll have really early season crops because they've acclimated the whole season through the winter, and so they're more prepared to just come up when they're ready in the springtime, and you have early season crops that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, super cool. Love it. Always have it in there, and so when you have the sprinkler in there, I can just take the plastic off take it off one side, just let the sprinkler go, and it's not inhibited at all. It's totally fine. So that's really easy. If you have drip lines in there for anything else, besides carrots just don't like the drip line. It's just not enough water, and it's not deep enough watering for them. The drip lines are super awesome for lettuces, any of those green vegetables though. It's super like it, yeah, really easy.